so much, Matt. I so appreciate you. Thank you very, very much. It's just such an honor to be here with you all today. Wow, those lights are bright. All right, I'm going to step away from the mic. I think you can still hear me and see if I can find a spot. Welcome to Kansas City. It is a brand new home for me and my husband, Travis, but we are enjoying being in the Kansas City community. I know there's a bunch of people that traveled. Can you show me by a show of hands how many traveled into the conference today? Wow, that is incredible. Thank you so very much for prioritizing this conference and making this a priority in what you're trying to do for your utility, whether you're in the manufacturing stream, all part of the solution needed for our industry and what you all are going to grapple with over the next few days. Here in Kansas City, we have found it to be so hospitable, kind of a nice medium-sized city, and yet this mecca of engineering and construction talent that is extremely focused in the electric utility industry. So it's sort of this weird space. I can speak for Burns & Mac that our founders showed up here 126 years ago because it was very central to the United States and all of the infrastructure that needed to be built out across the US. And as it turns out, a lot of other very reputable firms, founders, also looked at a map and said, Kansas City makes a lot of sense. And so we have this incredible workforce here that's been focused in the electric utility industry for a very, very long time. All right, so let's get started today and really want to kick off with safety. This is something that's very near and dear to my heart, and I know yours as well. We as an industry have grappled with and focused on betterment around safety for a long time. Burns & Mac, no different than most companies, is trying to figure out how to elevate from where we are and never satisfied and continue to strive for better. And one of the things that we're noting is that the PSIF and SIF statistics aren't improving like some of the others have over the last quarter of a century. And so we're grappling with how do you move the needle and get better at the most serious problems we have in our industry and in construction. And what we found is that as we study this, the thing that will make the biggest difference, we suspect and see, is changing from what we call coach to cop, from cop to coach. And so from compliance to inspiration, from procedure to culture. And so we're focused very much on moving the needle at Burns & Mac and trying to inspire a workforce that really embraces the I am my brother and sister's keeper, and that we should care for each other's safety and getting each other home every day safely. And so I just asked everybody in the room, set a baseline, where's my company's culture around safety? Are we focused on compliance, which we need? Are we focused on procedures, which are a must-have? Or have we elevated to a culture that's focused on a higher calling? And I think that's where we move the needle. All right. Now, let's talk a little bit about Burns & Mac, if you'll let me give you a little commercial for a second. I think most of you in the room see us oftentimes as a consultant in the telecom industry. And we do consult in the telecom industry very significantly, in particular in the utility communication space. But as you watch this video, what you should know is that Burns & Mac is doing a lot within the utility industry. And so we want to make sure we paint the picture of, hey, we go in and in our consultancy group, we do system planning and we do studies to help our utility partners prioritize the capital spend that they have to go do the right projects. Everything is constrained. We want to make sure that we prioritize the right projects. Once decided and determined, we help them permit those projects, then engineer those projects, construct those projects, and ultimately commission them, and then stand alongside them as they own and operate these facilities and assets for what we perceive to be probably the next 50 years. And so every project you see up here is a project that we did, and most of them we did all the way through construction. And so I just want to make sure you understand that the knowledge that we possess around the utility industry isn't just narrowly communication, but rather an entire integrated system of what you have as assets and what you're grappling with and trying to solve the challenges that are facing this industry. And those challenges are very, very steep. I am not going to share with you some new news. Load is on the rise, and it is on the rise because of this interesting thing called data, or AI, or computation capacity, or whatever you want to say. It is creating demand unlike anything we've ever seen. And so let's talk a little bit about what we were seeing in terms of demand growth. And just last year, the studies showed that just in these data center hubs across the United States, the expectation by 2028 of load demand has doubled. And so what you see in this graph is where we were versus where we're going. So we've been building data centers for a very long time. It's this introduction of AI and many other things. We'll just use AI as this huge wrap around advanced technology. The demand, the consumer demand, is absolutely tenacious. And what we don't know is where's the breaking point of, okay, you need us to build you power. Can the ratepayer stomach the expense? What are the manufacturing limitations to the industry? And it's just layers upon layers upon layers. What I would challenge you with is what can we get out of the current systems we have, or the systems that are a little bit easier to deploy, the meaningful assets that we can't fully tap into, and then of course that expanding universe that we all are grappling with as we think about the utility of the future. And I would argue that being able to communicate effectively, to open up the streams of effective communication, two-way flow of communication, is going to be critical in our responsiveness to the demand for reliable power and affordable power. How many of you have heard the statistic that the current demand for data centers alone in the US right now is an added 38 gigawatts? Have you heard that statistic? How many of you believe that we can actually build 38 gigawatts of additional power in, let's just say, 5 years? They want it in 3. Anyone? Didn't think so. So go back to the 100-year history of the utility industry, where we said, hey, 100 years ago, the mission of our utilities was to deliver reliable and affordable power. I don't want to get political today. That would be a trap. But I will say that 100 years later, it is still the mission of our utilities to provide affordable, reliable power. And we might argue a little bit that over the last few years, we might not have been as focused on that in our desire to pivot to a carbon-free future, our desire to shift from high carbon fuels to no carbon energy. But we're back focused again on reliability and the need to be able to evoke as much out of our current systems, and those systems that we are investing in has never been higher. It is at what I would call a fever pitch. All right, so let's talk about how prepared we are for that future state. Do you feel prepared? Most utilities, because it's been 100+ years, have been investing iteratively, have a lot of different systems, and you're in this flex of, what can we do to double down in our investments, and how do we do that effectively? How do we justify the spend, et cetera, et cetera? These are all very legitimate things to grapple with. But what I would challenge you with is, as we introduce a significant new fleet of generation, and it will be across all types of generation, you have to step up to the challenge and face the reality of effective communication across that fleet, and the way you use your transmission and distribution systems to deliver that power has never been more essential. We need you to be the most efficient version of yourself you've ever dreamt of in order to get close to the demands that the world is facing. So, with that said, let's talk about, all of these different things. You've got all these different networks. You're trying to say, hey, we've made these investments. How do we scrap them? How do we reset? The grid is looking at a change that we've never really seen before. And when you think about like distributed generation, or is it going to be large power, it's something that we're really all having to say, yes, all of those things. If I were to talk to you about the list of different power plants Burns & McDonnell is currently either engineering or constructing, you'd see 50% of it solar, 25% of it in storage, and the other all in traditional gas plants of varying types, some more responsive than others. So all of these things are coming into vogue, all at the same time, and we need them, frankly. You've heard tech investing in SMRs. That's a long regulatory horizon, but it's now at least a possibility to start talking about the possibility of nuclear energy. How responsive can we be? How smart can we be in the way that we transfer load, the way that we communicate across our systems? Is all about the decisions you are making today and how you're using advanced technologies to the utmost of advantage. These are the things you all will grapple with over the next few days, and I am not the expert to tell you what to do, but I will tell you that I am glad you're here, and I'm glad you're talking about it and grappling with it today, because the world needs you to, and I'll just tell you the U.S. needs you to, since that's really what we're talking about today, is the reliability of the U.S. grid. All right, so this reliability has so many demands, and these demands are very vast. How do you know what to do? Well, there's not a lot of case studies out there. This is all relatively new, and you're all trying to grapple with, okay, what's my approach going to be? What are we going to do? What technology and approach are we going to take? And so I thought I'd just share with you a few case studies, and I'm going to have to go back to my notes in order to do it, but I think you probably want to know that there's some things going on out there. And there's some utilities that have already taken major strides towards these solutions, and I thought that I would share some of these with you today. So first, we all, I think, have accepted, and if not, you can grapple with it over the next few days, that private LTE networks are the answer that we have been looking for, and they are the secure, reliable system that will enable communication at the scale, magnitude, and coordination that the industry needs. There are utilities that have already progressed in their emergence of private LTE networks, and I thought I'd share with you a few of those. They're all here today. Let's start with two that are our local utilities on both sides of Missouri. So Evergy, our co-host, so David will be here tomorrow and will share some words with you tomorrow. But they, in 2020, launched a 5-year sustainability transformation plan. As part of the plan, Evergy made significant capital investments focused on grid modernization, enhancing the grid capabilities, ensuring higher reliability, and improving resiliency. An important part of the grid modernization included Evergy's partnership with Ericsson on the communication network and infrastructure side, and then with Burns & Mac on the engineering support side, building out and launching very robust multi-state private LTE networks in just under 2 years. It's an amazing feat. Evergy continues to expand the network and turn up new endpoint devices on a daily basis. Next, on the other side of the state, we've got Ameren. Ameren was one of the first to choose private LTE as their path to extend their network into the distribution space. Ameren is a pioneer and joined Burns & Mac in forming the Utility Broadband Alliance in 2018. So this is what has brought us all here today. And in fact, Chris Vanna with Ameren is now UBBA's vice chair. Ameren's IntelliGrid Network Engineering and System Integration Program concluded in 2023. It was focused on efforts to design and implement a private packet-based communication network to upgrade the utility's existing network infrastructure to Ethernet at nearly 650 sites. Next, let's talk about TECO. They began a study with 1898, our consultancy arm, on the future TECO utility model, identifying anticipated advancements for each business unit. This analysis highlighted specific needs, leading multiple units to recognize private LTE as essential for achieving future reliability and resiliency goals. We work with TECO to create comprehensive communication strategy and build a business case for private LTE. TECO is now in the initial phases of construction, and we're excited to partner with them along their journey. San Diego Gas and Electric. SDG&E is one of the first to actually start deploying a network, another pioneer in private LTE. The utility envisions a number of use cases for its private LTE, including metering, fault circuit identification, mission-critical push-to-talk, and SCADA. SDG&E also uses wireless communication for its state-mandated wildfire mitigation plan, which includes a system to neutralize fallen power lines before they can start fires. This utility developed this system using proprietary communication infrastructure, but now wants to use private LTE to scale it. And finally, Exelon. Exelon is planning to modernize its grid communications network by deploying its private LTE 5G network starting next year, pending regulatory and business case approvals. With private LTE 5G, Exelon and its 6 operating companies will replace its many narrowband wireless networks with a single broadband wireless network to be more secure, reliable, and capable, enabling it to provide even better service to its more than 10.5 million customers. We look forward to our partnership with Exelon. These are case studies that we think seem extremely essential, but I want to leave you with one more. This is the Lower Colorado River Authority from my home state. Their mission statement, not unlike many of yours, is to enhance the quality of life of the Texans they serve through water stewardship, energy, and community service. And they've made the decision that a private LTE is the technology to achieve these goals. They're primarily focused on mission-critical communications and grid modernization. The LCRA private LTE network will provide the ability to evolve the P25 land mobile radio network to mission-critical push-to-talk while simultaneously addressing their SCADA, distribution automation, DER, sensors, grid protection, smart meters, and mobile data requirements. So you see, it's happening. I wanted you to hear about these different companies that are already on their journey so you know who to go ask the right questions of. There's a lot going on, a lot more to come, and it's an exciting time without question. So what is keeping you up at night? 5x by 2040 number of devices on the networks. Estimate, 150 million new meters deployed across the United States. And over 70% of the United States demand will be within utilities that are already pursuing private wireless networks. It's happening. So again, change is coming. We cannot possibly deliver all that the world is asking of us when it comes to new generation. We will do our very best, as we always have as an industry, to deliver everything that we can. There will be a breaking point to the consumer. We don't know where that is yet. There will be a breaking point to manufacturing streams. We don't yet know where that is. To engineering and construction resources, to technology. But Technology supports the active inspiration of solutions around private networks. The support that it will provide in secured networks is essential to our keeping communications private and secure, which is an ever-growing concern for all utility CEOs across the country. Anything and everything we can do to get as much out of our systems is really the calling that we are here today and throughout the rest of your time together to grapple with and discuss. And I don't know that there's a higher calling out there. I heard it said that the U.S.'s electric grid is the largest machine in the world, and it was built and conceived of 100 years ago. What we have happening in the United States right now is the reshoring of manufacturing. And it's not manufacturing like 25 years ago, it's high-tech manufacturing. Electrical load is significant. We have EVs. We can talk about where they're being adopted, what those adoption rates are, but adoption is happening, without question happening across the country and impacting you in what you're able to provide and how quickly you can meet the need and challenges of that growth. And then, of course, what we've already been talking about, this tenacious appetite that the public has for AI and computation capacity that is creating demand unlike anything we've ever seen. And so you all will change the world in the work that you do and our ability to meet that need. And I look forward to the breathtaking work that you have in front of you. Thank you so much for having me here today. I look forward to everything you will accomplish. Stay safe, and thank you for being in Kansas City. Appreciate your time.